going along with that, what do you think the Yang campaign could have improved?
Man, okay, so every campaign could have improved everything, right? No one's ever done it magnificently. I would say that the Obama campaigns would probably reflectively say that we didn't do anything magnificently, and they were among the best executed campaigns in recent history. What Yang stood for, I think he articulated that very well. And the landscape was digital. I think the only thing he could have done differently is know that he's going to do it again because he's ahead of his time. He was ahead of the moment, right? The moment caught up to him like 6 to 8 months later. So he's moving at light speed and the rest of us are catching up because he slowed down. And that's how we caught up to him.
It's
Not
cool
to say
that he
that
still
I just
seems to comment on it, though, on Twitter. Like, he's still, as the times move forward, he's like, oh, if we had the universal basic income, this is how it would affect the times now. If we did $2,000 a month, you know, this and that. It's still cool that, like, we're able to get a perception from him on basically what we ask for from candidates is like, what would you have done? What will you do? Is what I see Andrew and Bernie do often on Twitter, which is like, this is the result of if we were to take this action.
They get involved. I think what he said was like, I reject this version of the simulation and I'm going to let people know what it is.
That's
so I don't know that I would say, I mean, there's like, we can get into the weeds on structural nuances and like how certain specific things do or don't operate. But yeah, I mean, that was his first campaign. And
I mean, so much of it has to be like comfortability, right? Like, people aren't ready for that drastic of a change. I mean, Bernie seemed like even he was going to be our guy. Like, it seemed like everything was in, stone for that to happen. But even that, it was it seemed like it was such a divide on people just marking it as if like, no, like, this is socialism fact. We're not doing that. We're not ready for that.
So I'm with this organization. I'm not trying to do like a drop or whatever, but I'm on the board of an organization called the Muslim Caucus of America, and we were in Iowa. I was in Iowa for Andrew.
What board aren't you on?
Every other board. That's the only board I am on. That's literally the only board I'm on. So after Andrew's campaign, as they were shifting to New Hampshire, I saw an opportunity. There's a sizable amount of Muslims in Iowa, and I like looking at sort of raw numbers and math and all that. And in caucuses, the outcome of a caucus is like majority of who's present, right? So if you've got 7,000 Muslims in Waterloo, Iowa, or between Waterloo and Cedar Falls, that could have sizable impact in their caucuses, right? So if they voted as a block, they could actually make a difference in the outcome of the Iowa caucus. And so me and this other guy were sort of a week apart from each other going to all these masjids. And so I kept learning about this dude because I was going to these masjids trying to figure out, hey, hold on, are you guys in touch with the party and this and that? Like, we can mobilize and blah, blah, blah. And I would introduce who I'm with, and I was trying to get them to support Yang 2020. And they're like, oh, brother, this guy from Bernie, he came last week. You're 1 week late. And I was like, no, not a chance. And so I end up catching up to this dude in Des Moines. And it was in this back room of like an old vibe, like big brass jazz band. There was a guy who like sings like Michael Bublé. And it was really dope. It's called Noche in Des Moines. So if anyone ever goes to Des Moines, go to Noche, tell Maria that Rummi says hello. She'll be happy to have you. So this beautiful jazz club, and it's swanky and all of that. And so there's this meeting taking place there while everyone else is there to enjoy whatever. So I meet this guy at this meeting, and then there's like the subtle pleasantries. I'm like, hey, hello, blah, blah, blah. And then it occurs to us, hold on, I've been hearing about you on the road, going to all these things. And so we joined forces and we developed the first satellite Muslim caucus sites in the Iowa caucuses. So 5 masjids were satellite sites so that Muslims had an opportunity to vote in a more comfortable setting. You have a sizable Somali population, Bosnian population, Arab and South Asian, and African American population, right? In Iowa, no one's really expecting that occurs. So we mobilized that operation, and 41 state delegates came out of those sites collectively. Because of those sites, Bernie Sanders made it out of the Iowa primary, or out of the Iowa caucus. He was very close with Pete Buttigieg. And if we hadn't done this thing that was the first time it was done in history, he wouldn't have had that surge.
Interesting.
That little boost that kept him afloat. And so he stood for the things that Muslims care about so deeply and strongly, explicitly. And so the community stood for him, but because we provided the infrastructure. So what was I doing? Working with what I had, with the resources I had, in the limited time I had, to try to optimize the best outcome. And we didn't know it was going to work. We didn't know if anyone knew how to do it. We just tried to do it. And the Iowa Democratic Party was cooperative, and they welcomed it, and we made it happen. And it resulted in a candidate continuing in the field. So I was then recruited to Team Bernie. The Muslim Caucus endorsed Senator Sanders. We were I think the first Muslim organization to endorse him. And so we were helping mobilize, progressive Muslim communities for the Sanders campaign. Yang had withdrawn.